Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I want to ask a question of the Booktube community, and specifically the Booktube community that is familiar with and passionate about the work of Iain Banks. When I was a teenager, one of the foundational authors for me in my journey as a reader, in my transition from children's books to adult literature, one of the key authors for me was Iain Banks. There were others as well. There was writers like Margaret Atwood, Angela Carter, J.G. Ballard. I gravitated towards that kind of speculative, slightly dystopian, slightly magical realist type of fiction at that time. And so Iain Banks was a key figure, and I read every book of his that I could find, basically. Oddly, I didn't read any of his science fiction books, which he publishes under the name Iain M. Banks, but I read all the Iain Banks books that I could get. So from probably about the age of 13 to 16, I read The Wasp Factory, Walking on Glass, The Bridge, Canal Dreams, The Crow Road, Complicity, Whit, and then the book I want to talk about today. And the book I want to talk about today is A Song of Stone. And at the time when I was going through that first phase of liking Iain Banks and discovering Iain Banks, A Song of Stone struck me as his worst book. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. It just means that it was the worst one, and that the other ones set such a high standard that A Song of Stone was incredibly disappointing. It was the first time I'd been disappointed by Iain Banks, and when I left home about 10 years ago, my parents put my old things, my books, my films, my CDs, musical instruments that I own, they put them in a storage unit, and then I only started to get them back recently because my parents have sold their house and separated, and so the idea of coming back home was never going to be an option again. So my mum very recently visited. She brought boxes back of my things that I hadn't seen since I was sort of a teenager, since before I went to university. And amongst that was A Song of Stone. And for years, I've always said to people that A Song of Stone is one of the worst Iain Banks books. And from memory, I think my big takeaway from A Song of Stone is that it's incredibly well written. It's beautifully written. It is prose-like in the way it is written, but it is not engaging as a story. It didn't engage the way that previous books by Iain Banks did. It doesn't have that sense of mystery. It doesn't have that sense of kind of vague surfaces that reveal only partial bits of information, and as you travel through the book alongside the characters, more and more clues are revealed, so that you have this big revelation at the end of the book, like you have in The Wasp Factory, or you have in Complicity, or The Bridge, or Walking on Glass. They've all got these big revelations where the book kind of deconstructs itself, and you suddenly find out what is the big secret that has been at the heart of the book all the way through. And I didn't get that from A Song of Stone, and I just remember how disappointed I was when I finished this. And I read this probably when I was about 15 or 16. And it might have been a case that I was probably just too young for it. But then I'd read Complicity, which was far more adult-minded. And I'd read, it's not as if The Wasp Factory is easy to digest. It's not as if The Bridge is easy to digest. So for whatever reason, I didn't warm to this. But now that I've got it back, I'm thinking, was I wrong about it? Is it worth going back and looking at this again? Is it worth going back and giving this another try? So I'm putting that out there as a question to the Booktube community and to the Iain Banks fans and devotees that are out there on YouTube. Was I wrong about this book? Should I go back and give this another try? I mean, I don't remember liking it, but at the same time, I read The Quarry a couple of years ago, which was the last book Iain Banks published before he died. And I found that quite disappointing. I thought that was disappointing, especially for a final work. I thought it was kind of Iain Banks by numbers. And of all the criticisms you could level at Song of Stone, it's certainly not Iain Banks by numbers. It was certainly different. It was certainly distinctive for what it was. But I couldn't warm to it at the time. I found it really disengaging. But now that I've got it back, and I can reread it again, should I reread this? So I'm asking this to the Booktube community, to the Iain Banks fans and Iain Banks devotees out there. Should I give this another shot? I'd be very curious to hear people's responses to this and hear people's feedback about Song of Stone. Do drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching.